How do you decide? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to our BU 365 Day Challenge, Day 18. Day 18 already. We're well into January, and this month we're focusing on our physical well-being and our physical health. And today we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart called decision making. How do you decide? How do we decide and make choices and decisions and know what to do, right? How do you always know what to do? Well, my secret weapon is to always do what feels right, good, positive, or light to me. That's how I decide. Now, we can talk about all the details of decision making, the different types of decision making, the steps in decision making, the biases. I want to touch on the different biases we have with respect to decision making, and then 15 ways, just 15 possible ways to improve our decision making, improve your decision making, improve mine. I'm reviewing these today as well because as our action item today, we are going to share in the comments below on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being pretty bad, have struggle and challenge with decision making, 10 being, hey, I just instantly decide. I don't have any problems making decisions and choices. Now, part of why we learned the SOAP framework, and we'll cover the SOAP framework every month during this challenge, is because that is my response to dealing with problems and challenges. And what is the major part of dealing with problems and challenges and situations that come up is having a way of deciding, knowing what to do. So the whole SOAP framework is about identifying the problem, knowing what to do. The S is for what is the current situation, what is the desired situation. O, what are the options? Options, what are the possible things we can decide among? A, take action. P, am I making progress? Am I moving toward what I want? It's just like the 7 steps to decision making. Number 1, identify the decision that you need to make. Well, I want to go out for lunch. Where do I want to go? The decision I need to make is, where am I going to eat today? Number 2, gather relevant information. What's pertinent? Well, are the places I want to go to all open? If they're not open, can check them off the list right away. Are they, only open for dinner? There's labor shortages right now. Can you believe that? There's people that are having a hard time getting, and businesses, especially restaurants, having a hard time getting enough people to work in them right now because of COVID and the pandemic and all the mandates and the craziness. Number 3, identify alternatives. So what are the alternatives? And narrow it down to what are the specific alternatives. Step 4, weigh the evidence. Well, this one's got fast service. This one's got the best food. What is most important? What are your priorities in terms of choosing a selection, and how do each of the alternatives rate or rank? What's the evidence that proves that? Number 5, choose one. Choose an alternative and go there for lunch, right? Pick a decision, pick a choice, do one. Step 6 then is to take action. Actually go there and eat lunch. You go there, you find out they're not open. So, you didn't do a great job looking for evidence to determine what the best place to go for lunch was. And then 7, review your decision and its consequences. So you went to a place that you selected that said it was open online, got there only to find out they had a sign on the door that said, hey, we're short of help, we're closed for lunch, we're not opening until 4. Why am I using that as an example? Because the last 2 times I've gone out to eat with my sisters, that's happened to us, and we've ended up having to go to an alternative in a different place, another one on our list. But it's a quick and easy way to see that we're making decisions all the time. Now, decisions have a lot to do with risk and certainty, or risk and uncertainty, right? That we have to subjectively weigh the risks and the consequences of all of the choices and the decisions that we make. I'm going to pull up my sleeves today. So, what are some of the errors or biases that happen when we're making decisions and choices? And I'm not going to describe all these, I'm just going to list them, but you will know if one seems familiar to you and it's something you should maybe look into further to get to know yourself better. So I'm going to use my magnifying glass and read this list. Overconfidence bias. Do you think that you always are right and know what to do and you're overly confident? Hindsight bias. Anchoring bias. We're all anchoring to things that we're familiar with from the past. Framing bias. Escalation of commitment bias, meaning you say yes to everything over and over and over again, and the more people ask, the more you do. Immediate gratification, really a biggie in today's society. Selective perception. We only see what we want to see. Confirmation bias. Availability bias. Hey, We have to pick among the available alternatives if we're going to go to a restaurant that's open for lunch. Representation bias, randomness bias, and self-serving bias. So if any of those, you might click and say, I need to know more about that. Just Google it and you will get all the information you need to determine if that's a challenge for you, as well as a solution to that specific bias or challenge. Guess what? We all have built-in biases based on our past experiences, right? If we've made decisions and messed up and failed in the past, we're more reluctant to make decisions now or to lead decisions than if every decision or a lot of our decisions have turned out the way we wanted them to. So, all of these really fall into three categories. Logical fallacies, such as overgeneralization, comparing apples to oranges, comparing things that aren't like. That's why we do things like create our own ratings, create our own systems, create frameworks to compare unlike alternatives as part of the O, or as part of the A in the SOAP framework, because we know that the options we come up with in the O aren't apples to apples. So how are we going to compare those? So we share different tools and we learn different tools to compensate for that. Circular thinking. A lot of times, have you ever made a mistake or done something or made a decision and the result led you back to the problem that you had in the first place, and you just go around and around and around? Circular thinking is when we make the same mistake over and over again. Insanity, right? Expecting different results. Limiting beliefs also impact our decision making. We only see what we'll allow ourselves to see. We only experience what we allow ourselves to experience. So all of that is based on our beliefs. Now, it's very hard for the vast majority of people on the planet to look at their beliefs and say, is this holding me back in any way in my life that I want to move forward in? Because we just think that our beliefs are our beliefs, right? And we're thinking in our head, our beliefs are just our beliefs. The way we see the world is just the way we see the world. It takes a 30,000-foot view to say, oh, look at how I'm doing this. That's why I like the lifeline exercise we talked about a few days ago. It gives us that past 30,000-foot view where we can see the key events in our life and then start asking ourselves questions about, are we seeing a pattern? If I'm seeing a pattern in my relationships over time and it's not getting me the results I want, I probably need to say, what beliefs are causing me to repeat that pattern, which is also a circular thinking thing, right? And then judgment biases. We value some facts more than others, right? We value some things over others. So what's most important to us, we'll give more emphasis to. So what are these 15 ways to improve our decision making? Some of them don't sound like they have anything to do with decision making at all, and they don't. They just have to do with us being a better version of ourselves. So number one, we need to make a plan. If we are going to decide and be a great decision maker, we need to make a plan. We need to know, what are we going to do to be a good decision maker? We need to be assertive. We need to stand up for what's important to us. We can't just let other people make decisions and choices for us, because we're giving away our personal power, like we learned yesterday. We need to ask an expert. Sometimes we need to go out and we need to learn about decision making and how to become a better decision maker. We need to keep things in perspective. Every decision doesn't require a huge undertaking, right? If I'm deciding where to go to lunch, boom, I don't need to spend but a couple of seconds deciding. Things like that. So make sure the effort that you're putting into a problem and finding solutions is worth the size of the problem, if that makes sense. Set deadlines. Don't just procrastinate away, giving away your personal power. Set deadlines. Hey, I need to decide or finish this project, or I need to make a decision about which college I'm going to go to, or which job I'm going to take, or which person I'm going to date, or which diet I'm going to go on. I need to make a decision by X amount of time, X time, X date, X deadline. Be specific. Limit your choices. Sometimes, although there are infinite possibilities and infinite solutions to everything, I firmly believe that. Sometimes we need to say, okay, I need to brainstorm 10 choices. That's the number I'm going to look at, and then I'm just going to look at those 10. Especially when you're dealing with a super complicated problem or issue, or a highly emotionally charged problem or challenge or issue. Sometimes we need to focus in by limiting the amount of choices we give ourselves, or we never make a decision. Weigh your options, meaning have ways to separate and identify what's most important to you. We'll talk about, and we talked about the urine analysis already. Is it urgent? Is it important? Is it necessary? Is it, how many resources does it take and how much effort does it take? Resources are all resources, including people helping you in human resources. Effort is how much energy and effort does it take on your part. So you want to weigh your options. You want to exercise, which has nothing to do with it, but these few: exercise, get some rest, meet new friends, try experiments. Those all have to do with realizing that decision making is just one aspect of who you are, and you need to be balanced and healthy in all the areas and aspects of your life in order to make better decisions. Learn and improve. Take a break from decision making. Work through a list and then practice. And why we work through a list is have a list of all the problems or all the decisions that you need to make, and then pick one and do that. I say sometimes when we need to increase our muscles, we pick the easiest decision we need to make and we make that. And then we start working through the list of decisions, and pretty soon they start to fall into place because we get practice. We get better at improving our decision making. We get better and faster, and decision making becomes easy. Nowadays, since I'm pretty old and experienced, I don't think I spend hardly any time making decisions these days. I just look at the situation, I go through the SOAP framework, and I just kind of automatically decide things. Unless it's a big decision where it takes me sitting down with a piece of paper or a notebook and writing out, what's this current situation? What do I want it to be? What are the options and possibilities to get there? How am I going to decide? I'm going to analyze all those different options. I'm going to pick some of them. I'm going to pick the ones that fit my personal situation criteria. I'm going to analyze each of those and compare them to each other based on urgent, important, necessary resources and effort. And then I'm going to pick one and I'm going to take action on it. I'm going to see what direction it moves me in. If it moves me toward what I want, I'm going to do more of it, or I'm going to go to the next thing that will get me progress toward what it is that I want. So today, all we're going to do is think about decision making. Think about your decision making, because nobody can analyze your decision making but you. You know if you make good. We all know if we're good at decision making or not, right? I used to be not so good at decision making. I would decide pretty rashly and impulsively, and I would just do something, and then sometimes the results were horrible, right? And then I would fall on my knees and I'd learn from that mistake, and I would take a little bit more time considering my decisions next time than I did this first time. So on a scale of 1 to 10, all you have to do is think about your decision making today. Share in the comments below. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are right now with respect to decision making? Is it a 3? Is it a 2? Is it a 9? Share that. And it's only for you to judge and decide. Nobody else is going to judge this. It's all about you becoming an increasingly better version of you. That's what this whole challenge is all about. To do one thing every day that improves us. So if I'm a 4 right now, well, maybe I want to be a 6 by the time we're done with this challenge or at the end of the year. Maybe I don't ever want to be a 10 on the decision-making scale. That's entirely up to you. That's it. That's our challenge for today. Go out, make it an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye. Be you.